All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the last manga reaction of the day. Ate my food, good to go. Time to see what happens in the next chapter of Sakamoto Days. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu 92 here. Welcome back to Sakamoto Days. In the last chapter, we had Gozu going up against Shishiba, as Shishiba was, basically contending with everything that Gozu was attempting and trying to do, and Shishiba is just, contending with Gozu. It's like everything that Gozu tries to do against Shishiba just either ignores, counteracts, or blitzes whatever he's doing. And since Gozu is missing one of his claw weapons, he's down one advantage against Shishiba. So now it gets to the point where it looks like Gozu's about to use one more blitz against Shishiba. But Shishiba ignores this and manages to get like a solid hit in. And that's when Gozu gets knocked clear into the middle of the city and decides to basically drain the entire city of power, because apparently he got an implant into his body that allows him to internalize electrical energy to not only, project electricity, but also to augment his body as well. Pretty much the only one to survive this operation at Alkamar. So now Gozu is fully charged and preparing to fight Shishiba, almost electrifying him in water, and now lining up an entire building as Gozu is prepared to fight against Shishiba, saying like, yeah, I'm gonna use my full charge, my full strength to fight against you now. So let's see what happens in days 254 Showdown. And we have one of the news anchors who's currently covering this going,
"A mysterious power outage has hit part of Tokyo. People are panicking. Authorities are looking into the cause of the outage."
Wi-Fi's down too.
"Wait, look over there. How come the castle's lit up?"
And we're back at the castle that Gozu has basically lit up with his electricity. And it's just Gozu and Shishiba fighting, and they are just basically kind of almost demolishing this building, just breaking through roofs and tiles and everything just to fight each other. It's almost as if I'm watching the rooftop fight of the third Hokage versus Orochimaru before the other Hokages came in, because they're just fighting and they continue to launch blows at each other, and Gozu and Shishiba try to go for a full-on attack against each other, and it's just showing like an outside view of them fighting on top of this entire castle, and it shows an inside view of the castle of them fighting on the outside as well. No words are being spoken here, so don't be surprised if I get through this chapter if there's no more talking. I'm just only describing what's happening. And Shishiba launches Gozu inside of it, just breaking him through a whole wall. And then we see an explosion happen from outside that causes both sides and both walls to just basically implode, and it's Shishiba and Gozu getting tossed around. And then we see Shishiba's hair starting to rise up and get all basically staticky because of the additional electricity. The static's a real pain. And he takes out a hairband and ties up his hair. This is essentially like Zoro putting his bandana on. He just ties up his hair, and we get Gozu thinking to himself as he spits out blood. Mind you, Shishiba hasn't spit out any blood. Gozu is, though. I'm so much faster and stronger than him. How can I not have the upper hand? Somehow he compensates for that gap with sheer talent. It means that you're not stronger than him. If you're truly strong, you would have beaten him already. So, while he's thinking this, Gozu launches from that castle all the way over to the outer towers in this entire area, towards where Shishiba is. And Shishiba just straight up blocks him. If that's the case, then I know where to aim. And Shishiba is looking as Gozu goes and destroys his hammer. Just literally pierces and splits his hammer in two. And then he stomps as hard as he can and proceeds to charge his leg with electricity, and hits Shishiba and sends him flying from the lower rooftop to the very top of the castle, with Gozu just going, "Die!" And then Gozu drops to the ground. My body can't keep up with the extreme energy consumption. That's the cost of going max power. Didn't think I was in for such a struggle. And then it shows Shishiba falling from the roof, and also pieces of the roof falling with him. He spins his broken hammer handle around and jabs into the figurehead that's basically attached to the top of it and creates his own makeshift, holy do-it-yourself hammer. Literally, he uses the figurehead itself to create an even bigger, larger hammer, and Gozu's all like, no way, he's still alive. And then Shishiba comes right down where Gozu is. And it shows Gozu like face down. Gozu face down in the ground inside the building, blood streaming from his face around him. After we win this war, I'll never get to battle a guy this tough again for the rest of my life. If I hold back, I'll regret it. And it shows Shishiba laying in a mess of blood as well. Victory is mine, Shishiba! We'll smash the order and move forward. And Gozu gets up and launches towards Shishiba, who isn't moving. Shishiba, however, notices an entire set of samurai armor along with a sword. And before Gozu can do anything, all that lightning that was being used against Shishiba gets redirected because Gozu is shocked to see Shishiba having a full-on katana, and the lightning and the electricity is channeling through the sword itself. Shishiba is fine. This pose of Shishiba where he's just knelt up on the ground with the sword touching the ground, knelt up on the ground with the sword just right there next to him, such a clean shot. And the energy and the electricity is just crackling around the sword and going directly into the ground itself. He used the katana to channel the electrical force into the ground. And Shishiba speaks. Emotions de la blade. My master taught me that. And proceeds to instantly impale Gozu straight through the chest. And I don't think this is like off the side. No, this is straight through his chest, through his spine, through that mechanical core that he had that allowed him to charge up with electricity. He stabs Gozu straight through the chest. And then Gozu just coughs up more blood. Son of things were finally about to start. And Shishiba just goes, we're both fighting to protect what we care about. No grudges. I told you. What did I say? I said the reason why Shishiba is gonna win out in this fight is because Gozu was so quick to say like, oh, I'm gonna beat you, having all these big, grandiose remarks towards Shishiba. I'm stronger than you, I'm faster than you. And thinking that he was gonna be able to just straight up one-shot Osaragi, didn't happen. And then he thought he was going to be able to do the same to Shishiba. And this is exactly what I brought up in the last couple of chapters. Every single time Gozu tried to do something, Shishiba was able to adapt and counter it. Ever since he got electrified by Gozu that last time, Shishiba has not been electrified fully since. He has not been electrocuted on the same level that he was before. Now, mind you, he got hit by a glancing blow, like he avoided getting hit, but the electricity flowing from it still managed to kind of get him a little bit, but not to the extent where he was just full-on electrocuted by Gozu back at the aquarium. It's not the same here. No, it was back at the JAA. Not the same here. It's not the same. Shishiba has adapted to the point where it's like he was just waiting for Gozu to have this faltered moment. And the fact that he put his hammer down allowed the electricity to get channeled into the ground, meaning that everything that... And the thing is, if I hold back, I'll regret it. And the thing that gets Gozu is the fact that he says, victory is mine, Shishiba. And Shishiba just told him, like, if you're truly an assassin, you don't need to say all that extra. It's literally like that, what was it? I think it's either the good, the bad, and the ugly. Where the dude was in the bath. I brought this analogy up before. Where this guy was threatening to gun him down. And then the guy in the bath just straight up shoots him and says, like, if you're gonna shoot, don't talk. This is literally what Shishiba just warned him about. And when Gozu thinks he's gonna win this fight, Shishiba's all like, yeah, I still got an extra trick up my sleeve. And then uses Gozu, because the thing is, Gozu just charges up lightning and throws it at Shishiba in an attempt to just hit him with a full-on powered blast. And Shishiba is all like, yeah, I was anticipating that, so I'm just going to take this katana and channel it straight into the ground so that the electricity doesn't do anything to me. Emotions dull a blade. My master taught me that. And then just straight up impales Gozu straight through the chest. I told you this was going to be Shishiba's fight. I told you. All that cockiness and arrogance is what gets people killed in this entire series. And we've seen it so many times, especially from members of Alkamar. And that's the end of the chapter. Unlike One Piece, Sakamoto days won't be going on break. And considering that when people usually get stabbed in the chest, I mean, Sakamoto was the only one to get stabbed directly in the chest and put into a coma. I don't think the same is going to apply to Gozu here. Because the thing is, the very thing that gave him that extra power, Shishiba just straight up stabbed straight through. So, Gozu's days are just flat out numbered. Let me see what you guys have said. Let me see chat. There we go. Shishiba is actually bleeding. Wow, I'm happy Gozu was at least able to do You're happy he was able to do a bit of visible damage? Mind you, it wasn't enough to keep him down. Loving this action. Yo, that's so cool. He's putting the electricity into the ground. Genius. Yay, I'm glad we got another Yotsumura shout out. Now Gozu is most likely dead after this. I say most likely because we thought Osaragi killed the lady by crushing her throat when she didn't die. Yeah, but next chapter, if he isn't dead already, we are definitely going to see Gozu in the process of dying. And given the fact that Gozu really relied on that one implant he has, which only he was able to survive back at Alkamar. If that gets destroyed, and since Alkamar's been destroyed, I don't think he's going to be able to get a replacement. Kashima ain't going to be able to help him out with that. So this is the end. Plus, it went straight through his chest, out his back. The sword is sticking straight through him. And Gozu was all like, things were finally about to start. And my thing is, bruh, things weren't going in your direction at all. You were already on borrowed time. So I don't know what Gozu thought. But yeah, that's what we have. Yo, Ravi, it's good to see you. I just finished chapter 254 of Sakamoto Days. Whew. My goodness. I'm not surprised. This whole thing starts out with people all like, no, where's the light? Wi-Fi's down. And then we have several pages. Pages 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, all the way up to 8 and 9, where the moment I saw Shishiba put his hair up, like his hair was all like the statics of real pain, the moment he put his hair up, I'm like, oh yeah, it's already over. It's already over. He's about to get serious. He's tying his hair up. Because he hasn't tied his hair up since his time with Yotsumura. That's when his hair was tied up. After Yotsumura and everything dealing with Yotsumura, he let his hair just be regular and just let it hang down. Happy that it's a tiny visible bit of damage because whilst I wanted Shishiba to win, I wanted Gozu to at least be able to do a tiny bit of visible damage. I don't know if it's out of pity. It's 2 a.m. Where is my sleep? Ravi, if it's 2 a.m. for you, please get some rest. I appreciate you being here, I really do, but your health and your sleep is way more important than anything I got going on. You know, I always say this, but please get some rest. There'll be plenty of other times for you to tune in. Or what? I don't think that's the right word. I feel like the phrase you want to say is make it so that this fight isn't entirely one-sided, without Gozu having some visual means of showing that he's strong enough to actually damage someone like Shishiba. So I get what you mean. So the fact that Gozu was able to draw a little bit of blood from him, I mean, that's no small feat. Any member of the Order, we've seen them trivialize a whole bunch of people. It just shows you that everyone they faced off thus far, leading up to Alkamar, have been essentially small fry in terms of how much of a threat to the Order they were. Like the inmates who made their way out, they were all just eviscerated by every single member Order they came across. Every single one. Trying to, yeah, Ravi, please make sure you get some rest. You have a wonderful sleep. I hope you're able to actually get to sleep, but please rest. So getting to Alkamar, it shows that these individuals are pretty much incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. But it also shows that the Order is just flat out on a whole nother level, given the fact that the people that were going to be joining the Order, they clearly were not up to snuff. Not the luchador with the bulletproof skin, not the crazy lady with her baby, not the Saionji twins, but even though pretty much with Gozu down, the only people that are left to contend with are the two Saionji twins, the Shina and Kipe, and then Tanabata. And then the only person left after that is just Uzuki. That's the only person that's left. Because it feels anything Gozu has done during this fight has been very inconsequential, so I wanted a tiny bit of Gozu, even if it was just a hammer break or a tiny bit of blood, but that's about it. It just shows you that Gozu lacked what it takes. Shishiba already warned him. If you were like a matter of fact, let's just go back to that chapter as a whole. I think it's chapter 251. Yeah, it's directly after Osaragi. No, it's not 251, because that's when Osaragi crushes the lady's throat. I think the chapter that continues with, like, you don't need to say all that extra. No, this continues with Osaragi taking out the lady and just cutting her down. And then Shishiba. So, okay, so I think it is 250. I think it's chapter where it is. Let's see. That's your name, right? Shishiba, that's your name, right? You're gonna fight me alone? That should be more than enough. Huh. You're afraid that circular saw girl's gonna get beat down again? Huh? You can't be an assassin if you're afraid of your friends being slaughtered. And Shishiba says you can't be an assassin if you're afraid of your friends being slaughtered. So then why you fighting alone when you stand no chance? You forgot that time I half slaughtered you? And this is when Shishiba already warned him. This was the warning that Shishiba was giving him that Gozu completely glossed over because he thought he was strong enough to beat Shishiba, so his words didn't matter. But he did not pay attention to what Shishiba was trying to warn him about. In other words, you failed to kill me. That's pretty third rate, buddy. In our world, that's an embarrassment you don't bring up. And then Gozu does the very thing that basically sealed his fate, and he would continue to do throughout the fight. You're dead meat. See, you don't have to say that. You'll just look pathetic when you fail again. And, well, latest chapter shows Gozu being impaled straight through the chest and pretty much through that core that allowed him to charge up with electricity. You're so exhausted, I just ran, you just want to... Oh, you're so excited. You just won 1K on Mr. Beast's video? Bro, don't tell nobody. You just won 1K? I don't know what to do, who to tell at this hour. You're alive, so I tell you. Congratulations, Ravi. That's amazing. But don't tell anybody else. I want to emphasize with Gozu, I do with his circumstances. Oh, empathize. Oh, you want to empathize. But I feel I should feel more empathetic towards Gozu's cause than I actually do. Like, I wish we saw more of Gozu's past, growing up with the Alkamar kids, seeing his fellow orphans die, his interactions with the other members of Uzuki's group. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen that. What are the odds that we actually see that in the next chapter, in the process of Gozu actually dying? Like, seeing his life flash before his eyes, and we see all of that as we see Shishiba uh finally deliver the coup de grace to him and just ending him right then and there. Who's to say that the next chapter doesn't give us a little glimpse into Gozu's life? Mind you, we really didn't get too much of a peek into the life of Kumanomi before she got beaten by Heisuke and Kamihate. So I don't know if everyone is gonna have one of those moments where we just go back in time and see how their lives were back then. It would be nice, but at the same time, it really hasn't been done for everybody. We had short glimpses, but not chapters dedicated to it. But we'll have to see in the next chapter. We're not going on break with Sakamoto Days. But I knew back on what was it, March 8th. It was and it's gonna be a month since this chapter in 3 days. It was almost a month when Shishiba says, "See, you don't have to say that. You'll just look pathetic when you fail. When you fail again." And here we are with chapter 254, and Shishiba pretty much brings that to fruition by stabbing him through the chest. So yeah, yeah, that was good. That was a good chapter. I'm not surprised that the outcome happened. I was just waiting for it. I was just waiting for that moment to happen. Because really, what told me that this fight was Shishiba's? You alright, but I trust you all. All the same, Ravi, please be careful. Just be careful. I know you're excited, but all the same, be safe here on the internet. Please be safe. And don't accept random friend requests from people saying like they're your friends or your relatives uh, after this. Be extremely careful. But I knew this was going to go in Shishiba's direction the moment he pulled his hair up. Because it's like the equivalent of Yujiro showing his back when he's getting serious before he's about to fight someone. It's like Zoro putting his bandana on when he's about to get serious and use all of his blades and go fully all out. It's like Sanji when he puts out his cigarette before he's about to invest fully into fighting someone. It's like that. When Shishiba put his hair up, I knew it was about to be bad for him. And the thing is, despite the fact that Shishiba had his hammer broken, he didn't react with just like, pure shock and bewilderment. Gozu was pretty much the only one who had the widest range. You already get 13 requests? Ha, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. And I bet you don't know none of them. Same, I knew Shishiba was going to win too. The hair tying just cemented that it was this chapter. Yep. But even after having his own hammer just snapped off, he didn't react with like bewilderment or just utter shock as if like, oh no, my hammer is gone. Don't forget, this dude carries extra hammers just in case one gets broken. So it's not like he's out. He always has extra hammers just in case one gets snapped off. How many hammers have been snapped off and broken by people throughout the course of this series whenever he showed up? He always got extras. So, but Gozu did land a nice solid hit on him and kicked him all the way into the top of the castle. But while Shishiba was falling, he basically used a piece of a figurehead from a roof, turned it into a hammer, and then used it as a hammerhead to just basically slam Gozu straight through the roof. Mind you, Shishiba was also still incredibly hurt by this, but so was Gozu. And when Gozu saw like, after we win this war, I'll never get to battle a guy this tough again for the rest of my life. If I hold back, I'll regret it. Sorry for disturbing your stream. I'll try to sleep now. Ravi, you never disturb me. You don't disturb my stream. I'm just concerned for your health in terms of you getting some sleep. I know you're excited, but don't ever feel like you're disturbing me whenever you show up. No, it's an honor to have you here. And I'm not just saying that just because you're a member. I'm saying that because I really do value you being here. I really do. But please, prioritize your health. Please. So, while they're both laying on the ground, he's all like, "Victory is mine, Shishiba." That same thing Shishiba warned him about back in 249. That same thing he warned him about. Right? It was 249. No, it was 250. Yeah, it was 250. It was chapter 250. When Shishiba warned him, he still does the same thing, saying like, "Victory is mine, Shishiba," before he actually kills Shishiba. And Shishiba's all like, "Huh, that's interesting. We'll smash the order and move forward." And the only person to actually move, you know what's poetic? The only person to actually move forward after this thought of Gozu was Shishiba impaling Gozu. Because Gozu does not move after thinking we'll smash the order and move forward. And it's the order who actually moves forward and impales him on the chest. Well, not really the order because they're no longer a part of it. And with Oki gone, I don't think the order exists anymore. But it's crazy how the only person moving forward after the so-called order is smashed is a former member of the order, basically moving forward and impaling said person. So it's kind of poetic that your very own thoughts were turned on its head and used against you by the opposing force, by the opposing team. Because the moment he tried to fry Shishiba, because it was literally a big blast of electricity in the hopes that it would hit Shishiba. In the hopes that it would hit Shishiba, and Shishiba just takes a page from Sasuke. You know, when Sasuke was fighting Deidara, and we find out that Earth style was weak to Lightning style, and Sasuke basically electrified the ground so that way all of Deidara's bombs underground would not go off. That same instance, Shishiba uses the sword to essentially redirect and ground the lightning so it couldn't affect him at all. He used the katana to channel the electrical force into the ground. Emotions dull a blade. My master taught me that. Getting a little call back to Yotsumura right there. And then all we get is Shishiba blitzing Gozu. And mind you, he blitzed Gozu so hard that Gozu is lifted off the ground from getting hit. Things were finally about to start. We're both fighting to protect what we care about. No grudges. And he just keeps that same deadpan, emotionless face on as he just impales Gozu. Now, whether Gozu is completely dead in the next chapter or we get like his backstory or we see him die remains to be seen. But Osaragi and Shishiba have dealt definitive and basically crippling blows against people who were with the former order, because we can't say there's an order now, because the only person who's actually actively a part of the order is, I think, Torres, maybe? But, you know, Sakamoto just beat him into the ground the moment he woke up, and Tanabata, who's still dealing with Shin. And also, the only other person to contend with are the Saionji twins back at the JCC. So we still got those two fights to deal with before we bring things to a close. What are your thoughts? You think we're going to make it to chapter 260? There are 6 more chapters before we get to chapter 260 of Sakamoto Days. You think we're going to get that far? Maybe 265 if we're lucky? Y'all think we'll get done around 260 chapters? I don't know. It should be interesting, but I don't know. Things were finally about to start. We're both fighting to protect what we care about. No grudges. We'll have to see. But overall, I am not surprised by this outcome. I'm not surprised to see Gozu taking a hit this hard. Because mind you, he's been bludgeoned, he's been knocked around in the head, sent flying into trucks, pretty much almost resuscitated because someone gave him a defibrillator and that charged him up. But here, he's in a room by himself and Shishiba, stabbed through the chest. I'm willing to bet we'll be getting a glimpse of that battle next chapter with Kippe. Yeah, because we need to get back to Kippe. Kippe seems like he's going to be a problem. This dude said if this entire area where Sakamoto is supposed to keep out some of the strongest people, then I guess I need to go beyond strength, and just casually broke that wall. When you say I need to go beyond strength and you show beyond strength, you're a problem. You're a problem. So hopefully we get back to the Saionji twins, so that the only one, and I said it was going to be in this order, the crazy lady with the knife, Shishiba, Saionji twins, then the right hand of Sakamoto dealing with Tanabata, and then we get back to Sakamoto dealing with the remainder of Uzuki's personalities, and finally bringing Uzuki down. That's what I said the order was going to be in. And I feel like we could be going in that direction if the Saionji twins are brought up in the next chapter, or maybe the chapter after that, if the next chapter isn't centric on getting us to know Gozu a little bit better. I don't know, but we'll have to see. Overall, I like how this chapter ended. Because I knew the moment Shishiba's hair went up and he tied up his hair into a ponytail, that was him getting very, very serious. And now Gozu's suffering because of it. Because it's one thing to get stabbed in the chest, it's another to get stabbed through the chest and out the back. All while you have this electrical, arc reactor in your chest. Stabbing straight through that is equivalent to stabbing straight through Iron Man's chest, destroying the one thing keeping the shrapnel from entering his heart and killing him, and basically supercharging his body when you think about it. Now that's basically been stabbed through. And if I know anything about electricity, when you slash into machinery, you are slashing across components that are needed for each other to function properly. So I imagine getting impaled by a sword is probably not going to be good for Gozu at all. If he ain't dead, he is not going to be a threat to anyone that going forward. So yeah, we'll have to find out what happens in the next chapter, because we are not going on break. Overall, I am more than confident to say we can definitely reach chapter 265, 2 chapters for Kippe, definitely getting at least 2 chapters for Shin and Tanabata, then Sakamoto versus Uzuki will be a couple of chapters, then there will be an epilogue chapter or 2. Yeah, it's very likely we could get to 260. I don't know if we're going to reach 270. I'll be more than happy to eat my words. However, I don't think we're going to get to 270 chapters. Because there's a lot that's been covered in a lot of these chapters thus far. And I feel we'll probably be done before chapter 270. That's how I feel. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. If we don't have any breaks for Sakamoto days throughout the month of April, let's see how this entire month covers said chapters and how far we're going to get. Because if we get to the chapters of Sakamoto versus Uzuki before we even get to chapter 260 or within, then I feel like the series will probably end before 270. Yeah, Kanaguri is up there as well, because we don't know if he's truly going to help out Uzuki, or if he's just doing this for himself just because he wants to create the greatest film ever. So Kanaguri is still, like you said, still up in the air in terms of where his allegiances lie, because he's only siding with Uzuki because Uzuki provides him with good footage for his masterpiece, for his magnum opus, and what have you. So it remains to be seen if Kanaguri is going to be a problem in the future, especially with Sakamoto basically intruding in on his film. So it remains to be seen if he's going to be someone we need to deal with. Whether he stays a spectator or he tries to get involved and someone steps in to deal with him while Sakamoto fights Uzuki, we'll have to see. Exactly, we'll have to see. Overall, I actually like this chapter. In comparison to today's One Piece chapter just blows everything out of the water. But Sakamoto Days chapter for today, pretty good. I liked it. I don't know about you, but I liked it. And I think I really like the pacing of Sakamoto because it doesn't feel like anything has been dragging on for too long. That's how I feel. But I'm glad we see this moment where Gozu gets stabbed through the chest, and it don't look like he's got any electricity to spare because there's no electricity around his body anymore. And if Shishiba destroyed that device that's in his chest, yeah, Gozu is literally out of viable options. But we'll see. We'll see if he has another trick up his sleeve or if this truly is the end of Gozu. So yeah. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of reactions for manga today. Time to check out the return of the One Piece anime. So let me go ahead and get started with that. This was a good chapter, not as good as One Piece, but it was gonna almost be impossible to top that chapter. Oh yeah, any other manga chapter that came out today was probably gonna be impossible to top the One Piece chapter that dropped today. And for those of you who are wondering what that is, just check out my reaction about it and you'll understand why. Or check out the chapter yourselves. But overall, good chapter. I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even check out the membership and Patreon because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.